how I got fluent in my target languages before even talking to anyone. I think this is going to be quite an exciting one. Perhaps you have thought about how you should go about learning your language, your target language, that is. You thought about maybe you're gonna get embarrassed talking to someone before you're ready, whatever that means. Well, I've got you covered. Let's get straight into it. So, when it comes to learning a new language, whatever language it is, but especially if it's a language that is related in some way at least to your native language, that is going to make it much easier, of course. But that's not the main point of this video. The main point is how to use the concept that you might have heard about already. Input versus output, of course, makes sense. You might have heard about how you should have some kind of an input which is digestible by your brain. I'd say that's a funny way of putting it, but you get the gist. So basically, something that's a commensurate to your actual ability to understand and articulate. So something that is more appropriate to your level. So you're not going to be talking about rocket science when you're just starting out. Of course, that doesn't make much sense at all. But still, input versus output makes a lot of sense. I'm just going to make sure that when you're done watching this video, you get a lot more out of that concept. Something that I haven't seen anyone talk about this really. So, but before that, who am I to talk about this? Well, that's a very good question. My name is Tim. I speak 7+ languages, as I like to say. It's a little bit cryptic what that means exactly, but there is a reason for that, trust me. So I speak the major European languages, you could say. That is, well, German, French, Spanish, Italian, Swedish, Russian, and of course, English. And yeah, I have learned most of those languages, you could say, by myself, but that's a little bit of a concept. What does that even mean? To learn a language by yourself. That's exactly what I want to touch in this video. And I think it's going to be very much valuable in anyone's language learning journey when it comes to being as efficient as possible, that is. So, when it comes to having something meaningful in terms of input, I think that's basically the most important part of the actual input. Of course, output follows input, so it only makes sense. So, it's not that much about how much you consume. You could consume, let's say, a whole ton of food, but let's say half of that food is junk food, fast food. Then at the end of it, at the end of the day, you may say that you consumed whatever amount, but only half of it was actually useful. For example, I think that's a good analogy. So, when it comes to learning languages, the same principle applies. You might uh, you might devour a whole bunch of content. You might study a whole lot, but at the end of the day, not much is produced because the input that is going to produce your desirable output, so you speaking, for example, writing or understanding, whatever, does not match the actual scale of importance. And there is a layer deeper than that, of course. How do you determine that something is meaningful as opposed to, well, useless as junk food is? You may eat a whole lot of junk food every day and sustain yourself on only that, but you're not going to be a healthy individual, let's say, at the end of the year or so. So it's good to actually keep your linguistic diet in check and consume as much useful, healthy nutrients as possible. I think I like that concept myself quite a bit. So, how do you find what's meaningful as opposed to what's, let's say, trash or maybe not that meaningful, not that useful? The main criterion would be to actually, before doing anything else, is to find your own reason why you're learning the language in the first place. So let me give you an example. You're learning Spanish because you want to go to, I don't know, Costa Rica, and you want to go on the beach and order some tequilas and have fun. Okay, that's a very good goal. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Legitimate. And yeah, if that's your goal, to just have fun, then you know that in order in order that my language skills need to be carrying me so much forward that I have the ability to order a drink, have some kind of a basic conversation, have a laughter, a meaningful exchange, but on a more of a basic maybe scale, and you're happy with that result, then you know, okay, in order to achieve that goal, I'm going to have to put in so much effort, and I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z in terms of preparation. Mm, Whereas, for example, when it comes to learning how to discuss, I don't know, astrophysics in a foreign language, I don't know, German, it's going to be a completely different type of a journey. I hope that analogy, well, that example makes sense. I think it must make sense, I hope. So, you must find your reason why you're learning the language. And then once you find it, it's going to be very easy to actually determine what kind of a linguistic nutrients are useful to you as opposed to noxious. Well, maybe not noxious, but just not as useful, not as metabolically smart. Let's say. I'm trying to come up as with as many cute cute biological references as I can in this video, apparently. So, how do you find the reason? That's well, pretty much on you. You could find maybe someone that helps you out, or you can just figure it out. But I think that's actually the most important part. So, if first you find the reason why, then that reason helps you determine the exact actions you need to take in terms of consuming and producing the type of output that you want. And then ultimately some time may pass. You add some time to the recipe, and voila, you have achieved your goal. Good luck.